guys, obviously you're playing Slam Dunk today. You've got quite an early slot on the main stage. How do you guys feel about this?
I feel quite good.
Yeah,
Played
really
Slam Dunk quite a few times. Never done the head honcho, the main stage.
Yeah, we've
before.
done it. We've done it a couple of times before. We did it it's either 4 or 5 years ago now. UK Now stage, so the opposite, which was at the opposite end of the main stage room here in Leeds.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists there anymore.
No, it doesn't.
As far as I'm concerned, but that.
No, it's all changed.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they've opened the whole of the refectory for the main stage.
So we played there first when we were a very young band. Then 2 years ago we played whatever the marquee stage
was like the Jaeger stage
at the
or
front,
something.
yeah, which was really great for us. And now we are 2 years later, main stage. So it's quite a nice up the rungs of the ladder journey for us.
Yeah. So you guys have been going since 2005, I believe.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take. So I mean, you're almost into a decade of playing.
We are.
How does
Quite
that?
nice.
Yeah. How does that feel? Are you still up for it? You still got the thirst?
It's quite like a proud feeling, really, because there's a bunch of times where we could have either knocked it on the head or restarted with a new name, like a bunch of people do. That's fair enough if you're trying to give it another shot. But we've always just had this kind of gradual climb, and it's just been building and building and building, and we've always continued just to or at least try 100% to do things the way we want to. So it's never pressure from external sources causing us to not want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's only ever been just like well, let's keep going because this is what we do, this is what we are. And looking back on the time, 3 albums in under the same band name, this many years, as a group of mates that we are, it's a proud feeling. It's pretty cool.
Would you say that you still, all of you, got the quenchable thirst or passion for it all still?
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
There's elements of things that you learn along the way and parts of the journey which kind of help extinguish some of that.
Yeah.
But it only takes 10 seconds of an amazing show to completely reignite it.
Yeah.
100% to as strong as it has been ever before, even when you're dreaming of it as a kid. So, no doubt that it's still inside us, all burning pretty hot.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you 3 albums in. The last album was Dark Days, was it?
Yeah.
Dark Days this year, in January.
Yeah.
I mean, how's that album actually worked for you? Third album in, you've obviously progressed as a band. You're no longer young teenagers anymore.
It went like 10 times better than we could have kind of imagined it going. Really, it was amazing. It was quite an up in the air album, but we really wanted to just make the most fun kind of raw, real record we could. Yeah. And kind of had the least amount of time to write and record it, but just boshed it all out, and the reaction to it was incredible, and it got into like the UK midweek charts and stuff like that, and so for a pretty much solely independent band who's kind of doing everything, or as much as we can kind of off our own back, it was just an incredible achievement. And
good thing was as well, it's not like we had tons and tons of commercial success with either record before, so it's not like we had a benchmark for ourselves. We never really had anything was a positive, so to get that kind of scoreboard, which highlighted the dedication of our fans and the actual truth behind the connection between people that buy music and people that don't buy music, and the bands that make music, and it all really comes down to, unfortunately, that scoreboard on day one,
Yeah,
and
it does, yeah.
two of it, we, like Mike said, it got into the midweeks at number 36 in the actual top 40 album charts, and then
that's pretty insane.
It slipped by the end of the week, but it ended up at number 1 in the UK rock chart.
Wow.
Third highest new entry for that week. So that's like genuine, scoreboard.
Yeah, no,
that's printed. That's musical history.
That's an achievement to be unrivaled, really.
Stuff like that.
That alone,
never really
day
thought
one,
of stuff like that. Like
day
the word
one,
chart,
week 1.
we were never you hear you think of Kerrang charts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
when you're in this kind of line of work, you don't really think UK
top
charts.
40.
And that was just to see stuff like that. That's just sweet.
That's a bit surreal.
It's so surreal.
Yeah.
Like the charts, the official charts company, on Twitter, just giving us a little mention and just can you make it into the
Can they hold on?
Wow.
Probably not, but
we'll try.
I remember I was sitting there with Mike's flat. It was the morning after the album was released, and so the midweeks come out on the Tuesday, sort of sitting there, like we'd just woken up, we'd had the release show the night before, and sort of seeing my boxers on his sofa, just like, Mike, just got a text, look what it says. So it was such a surreal moment. Like,
turns us back into like 12-year-olds.
Yeah, definitely. Like holy.
Oh man, that's that's bouncing on bed material.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Okay, you mentioned that you've tried to do as much of what you do off your own backs, which is admirable. I think for most bands these days, signing to a record label. I mean, I know that you guys are you still signed to Hassel?
We are, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But a lot of sort of like small unsigned bands don't actually sign to record labels anymore, do they? They just pretty much make their own label up and try and go indie.
Yeah, which is
as much as possible.
It's that's accessible to everyone now.
Yeah.
Kind of back in the day, and it's still everyone's still kind of learning. I think now, because the music industry is this kind of mess of ideas of how to make money and how to do stuff. But
you can distribute your record on iTunes for a few quid.
Yeah.
Like
Do it yourself.
Reverb Nation, I've heard.
And things like TuneCore as well.
Yeah.
It's 50 quid, and there's your album up there, and it's the money's yours when it comes. Because we set up our own label for the second release. So our first release was for free. We put it out there for an email address in exchange.
Yeah.
Second album, our own label. We just set up the infrastructure. Really easy, to be honest. There's not much goes into. I mean, you have to want to do it. Like you've got to put the effort in. But for this third album, because we did it with the Pledge music scheme, so a lot it was kind of basically funded by the fans, and then kind of released through Hassel, distributed through Hassel after that.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of, it's essentially we're still kind of a independent band.
That's a really interesting thing that you brought up, actually, is pledge campaigns, because I've noticed that a lot of bands still, do it. Like In Me, you guys, obviously. Bowling for Soup have done it a fair few times. I don't know if Les and Jacob have.
It seems like it's something that is such... in hindsight, after having done a successful pledge campaign, seems like something that is such a no-brainer for somebody that was in our situation. It's like, the fans want to do this, and it's hugely benefiting you. It's not like a cap in hand, we can't afford to make an album, please help us pay. It's like offering them some seriously cool stuff. It's like having a super awesome exclusive merch store for 6 months only, and being like, look at all this awesome stuff you can get. If you bands could have that kind of stuff up for sale the whole time, and it'd be awesome. Like people want that kind of band memorabilia. So.
But then it wouldn't be so special.
Well, exactly. So that's why it kind of works so well, and it's like, we raised such an incredible amount of money compared to what kind of record deals that are on the table these days for bands like us. There's not huge checks flying around, but
I don't think there ever will be anymore.
Thousands of fans that can club together an equivalent, give it, and it becomes the equivalent amount of money, if not more. They're all fully invested in and really up for it. It doesn't matter, it hasn't even had a name yet, but you've got fans that loved your last two albums, have been to see you 10 times, and I'll pay for the third, I don't care what it sounds like.
Because even without the loyalties, without the kind of packages and with the experiences and the actual physical items, it was just like a year-long pre-order for our third album.
Right, okay.
So that's kind of how we saw it, with some added extras. We didn't want, because I think there's two ways you can go about stuff like that. You can kind of make it as kind of mental as possible, and it's come round and have dinner and let's go to the cinema together and kind of pay for that experience, which is great, but we've never been that kind of personality band. There's not some kind of semi-famous Kerrang celebrity in our band or anything like that. We have always been about to not make it sound as corny as possible, but just making decent music, and we wanted the pledge thing to reflect that. So we always just wanted to treat it as a massive year-long pre-order with a few extras that you can get on it, like a personal gig being the kind of main attraction in it, but everything else just being stuff signed
original, go through the notebook, all the original lyric sheets that we've written and stuff framed up, those, people just were like, I want
nice
that
stuff.
And I if the equivalent band Jimmy Eat World suddenly did that, and I was like, oh my god,
I'd do that.
I'm getting one. I don't care how much that costs. That is so awesome. That's actually from his notebook, and now it's on my wall. And for us, it's that's kind of nostalgic, but if I keep it in this book, tied it away in this shelf, and only look at it once every 2 years and think back to it being nostalgic, is it as cool as a fan of my band having it on their wall, pride of place?
Of course not. That's definitely a no-brainer.
So it's awesome to be able to almost pass on that piece of heirloom. It's It's like instead of your room being your own museum, it's like dish it out.
Yeah. I mean, some bands sort of like absolutely despise the pledge campaign and the ideals behind it. You know, I just don't think that people are open-minded enough, really, or some bands aren't open-minded and they're still looking at the record industry 30 years ago, like in the 80s.
There's no set way of doing stuff anymore.
It certainly eliminates, and it's kind of always had, and then maybe intentionally after having it, tried to keep is the lack of distance between the fans and the band, because you know you say sign a big record deal to your major label, there's a huge wedge that just suddenly goes in between them. Okay, you can still interact with them on Twitter and whatever, but like there is just a corporate machine sitting in the way between the music being able to be provided to the band, to the fans.
It's almost like putting bands into an untouchable position from the fans, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And it's the same as like gigs get bigger, because we're still playing shows at a size. You know, like we did our last London show. There's 500 people there, no barrier. Like in hindsight, it was a bit silly having no barrier, because a lot of people got really badly bruised chins.
Right. Low stage.
Yeah, quite low stage, no barrier. But it's kind of reflective in the whole ethos of our band as well. Is that it's like, you know, ideally we'd love to play venues that have big barriers, but still, for the time being, since however long we've been going, we're playing shows without barriers, and that's why we should continue. Just the whole thing should be with no barrier.
What do you guys prefer? Right, this is going to be the last question, by the way. What do you prefer? A massive gig like this for 30 minutes, or a small intimate gig where you know you've got a small room packed with 150 people, 45 minutes set?
I think they're two different things, and like chances are, if you're playing a massive room to thousands of people, unless you're headlining it, which is then you're not playing small shows anyway. You prefer that, but like, you know, when you're at a festival or you're supporting a band, you're kind of there to do one thing, and that's, you know, to play your music for your fans, but also to kind of
hype up the ones that aren't your fans.
Like you kind of get everyone ready for what's then to come after, and then to come after you. Kind of, you're there as a supporting artist, but there's nothing beating the feeling of, you know, playing like a decent room, no matter how big it is, just full of people singing your music, and if you can kind of feel them and they can feel you, that's just what it's about. No matter how big or small the room is. If the room is full of decent people who want to hear your music and who have a good energy about them, then that's what it's about.
It's quite novel, in fact, because obviously, like we say, we've been going for a long time. We've seen bands kind of overtaking us left, right, and centre. You know, our contemporaries and our peers or whatever. But like, none of them have 3 albums, and none of them are going to be able to have 3 albums and still be able to play in front of 150 people without it being like an underplay tour. So in fact, we can crack through like an hour and 15 minutes in a sweaty, tiny little club show, and like have a whole, like, you know, 5 years worth of music to play, and that's and it's not an underplay show. It's not like, oh, we're only in this club because we didn't want to just play the big room. It's we're playing here because you guys are our fans, and it's still,
this is where you want
3 albums in, we're still able to just be at that level, that kind of underground. It is. We're just on the underground, basically. That's the bottom line.
It's how it all starts, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how it all starts.
And it's swelling and swelling.
Even though it's been a decade, it is how it starts.
Exactly, yeah.
It does start that way.
It started, and we just kind of... It's like some people just dig straight up, and we're just sort of digging at this very shallow trajectory, and then we'll just make it to the surface.
And explode. Right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys on stage later.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you.